Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. The narcissist's greatest fear is that you will one day wake up and you will realize you were always the destroyer. So here's the deal. The challenge is you have to remember who you are. You are the destroyer. So I don't even think telling you that you're a warrior is enough. You literally are the one who comes in and you destroy everything. The power that you possess, you don't even realize you possess it, yet you've been using it your whole life, and you've been destroying people by literally doing almost nothing. Now imagine if you actually realize the power that you have, and you suddenly realize, wait a minute, they've been attacking me my whole life on purpose? Yes, it's time to fight back. And that's their greatest fear. This is why they've bamboozled you, lied to you, manipulated you. And the thing about it is, remember, it's not just say you're one of your parents or your family. It's the four guys that work at the grocery store. It's that one bus driver. It's that third period teacher in third grade. It's the first period teacher in fifth grade. It's the second period teacher in seventh grade. It's the recess person that watches kids on recess. It's like, it's that one kid that sits behind you and over to the right. See, they know who you are, and they know that anytime they see you, their job is to attack you, to lie to you, to manipulate you, to constantly convince you that you're weak, convince you that, oh, you need to be nice, you can't fight back, that's wrong, that's bad. I'm going to attempt to explain something to you in this video that will finally get your system to click, to turn on and realize, like, oh, it's time for battle. It's always been time for battle. It's go time. What I'm going to try to get across to you in this message is how much power you have. Because you know what? I've heard it for years. I've heard it from energy healers. I've heard it from Buddhist monks. I've heard it from Uncle George Naopi. I've heard it from all kinds of people. I thought, oh, they're just being nice. Like, no. People, you have something that they don't have, and they know it. You're the one who doesn't realize it. So I talked to an old friend from high school today, and we're talking about the old good times. I've been telling him about, everything I've gone through, etc. And I forget exactly what we were talking about, but he's like, oh, well, you just got to be nice. And, oh, yeah, I know what I was talking about, things that I had figured out from coaches and teachers that really screwed me over. Okay, I had a situation where these people were jealous of my dad. Now, here's the thing. None of them ever met my dad or knew my dad or had any interaction with my dad. And they really screwed me over. It was like in 8th, 9th grade, and then in 10th grade. It was two teachers and one coach. And they had all told me after I graduated why they did it. And it came out, they just were super jealous of my dad. I go, I understand. Was my dad mean to you? Like, oh, no, your dad was a really nice man. And they're like, it's because your dad was so good in sports. You have no idea, blah, 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 blah. So, long story short, they were really mean to me just because they're jealous of my dad, who I hadn't seen since I was a child. So I had explained to him, I forget what he said, but I said, no. Because he was basically like, oh, just be nice, let bygones be bygones. Like, no, this was like not cool. I was a fucking kid. I was in 8th grade. These are grown adult men that were like in their mid 40s to late 40s, early 50s. These were grown adults. I mean, like, I'm not the one who needs to fucking be the better man here. So my point was, we talked about something. I forget how it got around the conversation, but it was something about, if I ran into them in a restaurant and I said, you know, I probably wouldn't walk up to them to do anything, but if they thought they could do it to me now, like be a dick, oh, I would have no problem ripping them a new asshole right in front of the whole restaurant and just like letting it rip. And he's, no, Mike, you can't be like that. And I'm like, oh, yes, I can. So here's my point. So number one, he's always known me to be this super nice guy, tough guy. He knew I was a badass and all that shit. But he also knew I was a nice guy. Well, that nice guy doesn't exist anymore. I'm a nice person. I'm super nice to people that are super nice to me. If you're not super nice to me, I'm not super nice back anymore. See, one of the things I learned about narcissists is they are betting on the nice guy to come out. That, oh, well, we're in public, you know, you can't be this way in public. And when I realized that years ago, I was like, oh, really? So that, oh, no, I have no problem doing this to you in public. So they are betting the house. They're betting all their money, all their chips on basically that number one, that you're a respectful person and you won't act this way in public. Number two, that you're a nice guy. When I realized that's what they were betting on, oh, it's like, how do I say that? I'm trying to use a gambling term, but all bets are off. Like, nope, sorry, buddy. And I just let it rip, and I do not give a shit. Because I also realized all of these other people who have known me that were like this to me, it's like, even if I was nice to this person, this number one, they'd still be dicks to me. This person would be an asshole to me. So it's kind of like, it's called stand your ground, okay? So here's something I learned from a very, very successful, very, very wealthy businessman who has been screwed over a lot, and people are always trying to screw him over, which is kind of typical in business. Here's what he had said. He had said, look, if somebody takes advantage of you, screws you over, does something, just make a mental note. Remember that, because here's what's going to happen. They will come back around in life, and they will be at your mercy. And when they are, you hammer them. Now, at first I didn't really like that, being the nice guy that I was, but he explained something, because here's why. If you let people get away with harming you, attacking you, screwing you over, manipulating you, etc., and then when it comes your turn, like, hey, this person, like, they did something wrong and they got caught, if you don't hammer them, if you don't sue them, if you don't rip into them, if you don't do this, then everybody around sees this, and now they all go on the attack. And that's why all of you that have been following my channel have been like, why are all these people so mean to me? Because they can. That's Mother Nature, and most people are operating off of their reptilian brain. That's why they say that 80% of people are in the rat race. The rat race means they're functioning from their lower reptilian brain. This is the fight or flight brain. These people are literally like rats. They're like animals, okay? They're like predators. So they're going to watch you, and if they realize that you're easy prey because you don't fight back, guess what? Now you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of them. You have to fight back. Lo and behold, people are actually treating me nice. They're smiling at me. They're doing nice things for me. This is very interesting how the world turns. Alright, so now this part is really what this video is about. So your entire life, you have had to deal with some serious bullshit. You've had to deal with abuse, beatings, psychological attacks, people, family members, brothers and sisters turning your friends against you, lying behind your back, teachers screwing you over, marking your grades down even though they shouldn't be, just all kinds of stuff. You've had to deal with shit your whole life. Now listen closely though. Number one, you've been doing this or going through this since you were a little child, okay? And one thing that you don't quite see, you might have even verbally said it, but I don't think you really see it. You are resilient as fuck. People have been going against you your entire life, and it's non-stop. You might get a week or two, maybe a month, maybe 2 months off, but it's literally one person after another, one class after another, one girlfriend, and then it's the next one. You're like, God, give me a break. Then it's a boss, then it's your next boss, then it's this coworker, now it's another coworker 2 months later. It's like, it is just, ever since you're a child, you've been going up against this your entire life. And here's the part about this that you don't quite see or understand. It's kind of like, and when you do anything that's really, really tough, like martial arts or wrestling or football, like it is effing painful, and you just have to deal with it because your friends are like, dude, just toughen up. Like eventually it becomes a part of life. It's just like you're used to bumps and bruises and breaking fingers and tearing your skin and pulling your muscles and all kinds of stuff, injuries, sprained ankles, sprained knees, torn this, torn that, and you show up to practice and you have to go 100%, or your coach is going to flip out on you. It's the same thing when you go through military training. You start out with 6 to 8 weeks of boot camp, and then you go through advanced infantry, then you go through specialty training, and I'm trying to think, there's another thing, and then after that you go through airborne school. Like by the time you are at the middle of advanced infantry training, so the 9th or 10th week, you are hardened. You are like these guys that I saw that were complete pussies were effing just warriors. And like, man, this guy does not back down anymore. This guy is strong. He's got muscles. This guy's lost weight. And you're like, holy shit, like these guys are warriors now. And the transformation you go through is insane. So I did my infantry training at basic and all that stuff, advanced infantry, airborne, etc. So specialty training. I did it all in Georgia, okay? It is hot in the summers. It is humid. It rains, it storms. I mean, now I was there for a long period of time. So I went from the hottest part of the year into some of the coldest part of the year, which is freezing cold. But you're out there in a bivouac, you're in this little tent, and you're washing your hands in the stream or whatever you can. You have no hot showers. You're eating food out in the open. Your campfire keeps you warm. You get used to it. In the beginning, you hate it. It sucks. Like, it's one thing to go camping for 5 days or something for fun, but it's another thing when you got to get up and you got to do a rucksack run for about 5 miles or 7 miles after you've done like push-ups and sit-ups in the dirt or in the gravel or whatever you did it in, and you don't get to go take a shower. Now you've got to go out and do all this. Now you've got to march, or now you've got to, travel to this area. So you do everything outside, day and night. You sleep outside, you march outside. You go from, after you do your run and push-ups and sit-ups and all that stuff, and then you've got to put your rucksack on. So that's anywhere from 50 pounds to 60 pounds or more, and you got your rifle, and you got your water, then you got your ammo and all this other stuff. So you're loaded down, and now you've got to walk in the Georgia sun and the Georgia heat and humidity, and now you've got to march 7 miles, sometimes further, to get to the gun range. And now you're going to be laying in the dirt shooting at targets while you're just exhausted. You've got dust all over, you got dust up your nose, and you're just sweating from the sweltering 100+ degree heat in this humidity. Now, if you've never been in humidity like this at 95 degrees, 100 degrees, 102 degrees, you have no idea what it's like. And you do this every single day. And then at nighttime, you're freezing cold because the temperatures drop down. You're wearing the same dirty clothes that have been sweaty, and now they're colder because you're wet, etc., etc. But here's what happens. It becomes a part of life. You literally adapt. You adapt and overcome. That's what we'd say in the military. Adapt and overcome. Like you just adapt to it. You get used to it. It becomes life. And all of a sudden, like, well, this is just what like you've been out there for 10 days, in the sweltering heat and the camping out there and the smokes and fire, and like you just don't care. It's like, well, it just becomes a part of life. Because then you go back, maybe go indoors after 14 days of being out there training, and you get to stay inside for 3 or 4 days with the air conditioner at nighttime and fans, but then you go back out there for another, 5 days or 10 days or whatever it is. It literally just becomes a part of life. and you begin to operate at full function, full capacity. Your brain is clear, your heart is clear, your muscles are strong, and this just becomes a part of life. You don't care. It's not a big deal. So here's my point. Your whole life you've been whipped and beaten, you've been yelled at, screamed at, you've been told you're nothing, you've heard all the worst things. And then when someone dies in your family or someone you're close to, like your dog or a pet or your closest brother or sister or best friend, and then they come in for the kill. My family literally told me about 9 years later after my best friend died, my mom said it to my face, she goes, I said, why were you guys so mean to me when my best friend died? My mom said to me, it was the first opportunity we had to get you while you were down. Now, my girlfriend at the time, she called me up at his house when everybody was there 3 days later. We were eating food and crying together, and his mother answered the phone and said, oh, it's your girlfriend. And she leaned her head on my shoulder, Mrs. Pilling, and my girlfriend said, oh, I'm just calling you to break up with you. And I'm like, well, you really picked a bad day. And she goes, what do you mean? I go, well, I guess you didn't hear what happened. And she goes, no, I heard. I'm like, no, I'm sure you didn't. You wouldn't have broken up with me if you heard what just happened. And she goes, no, my best friend Monica called me and told me that your best friend Marlon just died. That's why I'm calling to break up with you. Mrs. Pilling literally started howling and crying out loud and ran upstairs. I mean, how fucking cruel can you fucking get? I mean, you guys have to understand, by the time I was 19 years old, I was a hardened individual, but I was a super nice guy, okay? And I didn't quite see the games that were going on. But this was my life, man. It was bivouac time. Bivouac means you go out into, campfire, and you got your tent and all that shit, you got your rucksack. This is bivouacking, baby. And it's like, this is my life. Like, this was not unusual for me at all. This was kind of like, oh, this is kind of an everyday thing for me, man. And here's the thing that kills them. When it doesn't destroy you, when it doesn't affect you, when you don't stop, it destroys them. They're like, no matter what I do, and this is what my mother was saying to me when I was 28 years old about this event when my best friend died when I was 19. She just said, no matter, and she was crying out loud at my apartment. She's like, no matter what we did to you, nothing affected you. It never stopped you. You just went on to win another state championship, then a national title, and you got straight A's, and you just like everything, like nothing would stop you. And she was like, couldn't stand it. Now, I admit at the time that confused the hell out of me. I'm like, because my whole life was about my mom. I loved my mom, and I'd do anything to please that woman. As I got older and went through a lot of therapy, and especially when I started learning about what a narcissist was and what they do, and they go after you when you're at your lowest, I look back now and I laugh at her. I laugh at my sister, who I talked to the next day, who just laughed at me, said, no, you understood mom perfectly, because that's what I thought. I go, I must have misunderstood my mom. So here's the deal. All of them are just going, fuck, like what the fuck? Here's what I'm trying to say. When you don't get affected, when you just keep plowing through, winning more awards, achieving goals, starting businesses, and just living your life and going to clubs and doing your thing, it devastates them. It absolutely destroys them. And that's what I said a lot earlier. Like, there's something that you're doing that you don't even know you're doing that's absolutely destroying them because you didn't do it for them. You're just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just move on to the next phase of my life. They look at you like, I threw everything I had at this guy. It didn't do a damn thing. See, here's the thing. This is not a physical battle. This is a spiritual battle. This is a battle of emotions. This is a battle of the mind. See, here's the thing. We've been rejected so much that it's just a part of life. Now, here's the other side of it that you haven't seen. So number one, like, I eat rejection for breakfast. I mean, that's a part of my complex diet and vitamin regime. I have to get my vitamin R every single day. It makes me powerful. It makes me strong. I mean, these people have been purposely setting up setting us up to reject us, and then hoovering us, then setting us up to reject us, then hoovering us. Ever since we were children, some of our friends were doing this. They were narcissists, their parents, our teachers, all kinds of people. And here's the deal, by the time you're 18, 19, 20 years old, it's just like, well, this is kind of part of life. I mean, you got to drink some milk, you got to eat some meat, you got to stay healthy, you got to get some oranges and celery and lettuce. I mean, you got to be healthy, right? So you got to get your vitamin rejection, and it's really good for you. It makes you tough. Now, why don't you try to give your narcissist some vitamin R? Give them a little bit of rejection. They cannot handle it. They lose their shit. They fall apart. Oh, God. They do everything they can to get you back. They hoover you, buy you things, send you gifts in the mail, send you letters, oh, I'm so sorry, and all the bullshit. Here's the deal. You've got to understand the stuff that you have been through, and this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's equivalent to what it's like being on a football team for 6 months. You harden up, you get tough. It's like being in the military, out in the heat all day long, carrying a 60-pound rucksack with your rifle and your water jugs and all that other stuff. You just march 7 miles, 10 miles like it's nothing, because you've been doing it every day for freaking 6, 8, 9, 10 weeks. You've been out in the sweltering heat. You've had people beating you down, screaming at you. They're called drill sergeants. You've been breathing in dust and dirt like you don't care. It's just life. Now, what happens when the narcissist tries to fucking take one rucksack run or walk with you? They can't handle it. After 2 miles, like, oh, my feet, my blisters, oh, my little toe, oh. They can't handle it. They fall apart. Seriously, I mean it. Give them back their own medicine. You don't even have to give them a full dose. You don't even have to give them a 50% dose, a half dose, a quarter dose. Give them 1% of what they give you and watch them melt. I'm melting. Like the Wicked Witch of the East, or maybe it was the West, when Dorothy accidentally spilled water on her, and all of a sudden, I'm melting. A splash of water makes you melt. My God. And that is literally a metaphor for a narcissist. That's what that scene was all about. Like, all you have to do is shame them once, call them on their shit, say something truthful about them. They won't be able to deal with it. I remember when I was a little kid, I think we were about 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and it was my brother Gary, my younger brother Joey, and my sister Amber, and like they were treating me like absolute shit. And I just got in their face and said, you guys do realize, like, I can do the same things back to you. And they kind of went, what? Like, because that had never crossed their mind that I would ever do the same thing back to them. They got really quiet. I go, you do realize, and here's the part that I want you guys to realize. I said, you guys do realize I'm better at doing this than you are. And they're like, what? I go, you guys have been doing this to me my whole life. I know exactly how bad this feels and how much it hurts. And I know exactly how to twist the knife in a way that will rip your heart and soul out. And they just got really quiet. And I said, yeah, go ahead, push me. There was a short period of time in my life when I was a kid when I finally started feeding them back their medicine, playing all the mind games and the little tricks. I just wanted them to realize, like, oh shit, he can do this too. Yeah, not only can I do it, I can do it way better than you guys can do it. I can do it 10 times. I am the pro of all pros of this. And here's what I'm trying to get you empaths to understand. You are too. You guys can destroy these people. Number one, you're better at it. Number two, they can't handle a morsel of their own medicine back. It literally destroys them. And that's what they're afraid you're going to find out. Well, you just did. And then what happens, a dumbass comes along thinking, oh, I'm going to manipulate this person. I'm going to run them into the ground, and another narcissist. And here's the deal. You're an empath, so you're nice, you smile, you've got a good demeanor, you treat them well. And here's what happens. They automatically assume, like, oh, I'm going to destroy this person. Oh, this is going to be fun. Lo and behold, they don't realize you've been dealing with this, having people go against you your whole life. This is your breakfast. This is your vitamin A, people going against you. That's what you do. My point is, you guys have dealt with this whether you liked it or not. You didn't have a choice. You've had to deal with this your whole life. So you know how to deal with it. You know how to cry in bed. You know how to, take a hot shower or a cold shower. You know how to deal with it. Well, here's the thing. They don't really know this. They also don't know, like, oh, I see. See, here's the deal. This is what happened my last one. I was looking at him like, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, I've seen that before. Like, I saw it coming a mile away. And I would bring him like, hey, man, like, why are you doing this? And he would just grin at me. And I looked at him like, oh, he doesn't think that I can see him. He thought that I was the naive one. And I remember I looked at him and I grinned back, and he got a concerned look on us. I was like, wait, what's going on here? Like, but he didn't know. He had no idea. He didn't understand. Like, look, I've been dealing with this since I was 8 months old. This is old school for me, man. This is just every day. This is like getting up and getting the newspaper in the morning in front of my front door. This is not some new bamboozlement. So what did I do? I just let him dig and dig and dig that hole, all for himself to fall into his own damn trap. And then, whoop! I pulled that rug right out from underneath him and cracked his head on the back of the ground. So we've been doing this our whole life. We are the masters of when people go against us. This isn't new to us. We know how to deal with this. Is nothing. This is like when you first go to boxing class, you gotta learn how to do your jab over and over and over. Like, this is like step 1, man. I mean, we're at step 2,555. And here's the thing, it always shocks the living crap out of them when they get destroyed trying to play this game against us. It shocks the living crap out of them. Like, holy shit, what happened? Here's the deal. You were brought into their world to destroy them. You didn't know it. They didn't know it. Only God knew it. There's a reason why God drew that person to you. It was like a trap. But here's the thing. It really wasn't a trap. If they learned from you, they could have gotten out the good way. They could have gotten out the healthy way. But they didn't want to. They thought, oh, I'm just going to destroy this person. So it snapped back on them. That's 100% on them. Alright, so in high school and wrestling, I think I was a junior, and I was a pretty damn good wrestler at that age in life. And I was undefeated that year, just destroying people. And there was this kid that came in, and during weigh-ins, he was trying, like, I forget what he said, but he was being a real dick to me and trying to, like, flex on me and do all this shit. And I kind of looked at him like, what the fuck's this guy doing? It's just weigh-ins, man. And my coach goes, no, Mike, just act like a wimp. I go, what? He goes, Mike, trust me. He goes, act like a total wimp. Just act like a fish, which means be weak, right? I'm like, why? He goes, and then catch him off guard in the match. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So he goes, hang your head down like you're afraid of him. I go, oh, okay. So I walk up on the scale and hang my head down. I look like I wouldn't look in directly in the eye, and I played the whole fucking thing. And then when it came time to wrestle the guy, the coach goes, hey, when you shake his hand, give him a limp fish shake, like a really weak shake. It'll really build up his confidence. And the minute that whistle blows, boom, shoot on him and take him down. So here's the deal. The guy wasn't very good, and yet here's the really weird thing. It was kind of bizarre because they were in our league, and for some reason their coaches didn't know who I was, and I don't know how that's possible. So here's what I ended up doing. I ended up shooting on this guy. I caught him off guard because it was boom. It was instantaneous. I went from totally weak and slow and limp fish, and boom, I shot on him. And I did a high crotch, and I lifted him up, and he squeezed down on my right arm and left arm. And I bench pressed him or shoulder pressed him up. And I turned around to his fans first. And then it was at my home school, by the way, hometown. And I turned around to my friends, and the fans went effing nuts. And the ref's like, let him down slow, don't slam him. And I looked at the ref, I was like, oh shit. And so I just put him down, and I squeezed him down, I pinned him. So when he got up, he was like, what the fuck? He really thought he had it in the bag. But he didn't, and it shocked the living hell out of him. Hey, Narky, isn't that kind of what happened with you, buddy? Yeah, it did, huh? Yep. Bet you're enjoying life right now. So essentially and literally what happened was that the narcissist played himself. So get yourself up, do your push-ups, do your sit-ups, eat your vitamins, eat your protein, and go for a run, do sprints, lift weights, study martial arts, study kickboxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, American wrestling, and get out there and kick ass. I love you guys. God bless you guys. You guys are warriors. You guys are literally destroyers. This is not a physical game. This is a mental game. This is a game, a verbal game. All you have to do is get the balls to call them on their shit, point in their face, shame them, and put them back in their place, and they will run like cowards with their tails tucked. Alright guys, God bless you guys. Remember, click subscribe, click that like button, make a comment, and if you want, go ahead and make a donation right there in the box, right, the description box right below this video. And I will see you guys in the next video. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.